Have you ever driven down a quiet country road at night and felt like something unseen is watching you? The streetlights flicker, the windless trees sway, and faint whispers echo through the darkness. Most towns are Centralia, Pennsylvania, the town that burns forever. Our first stop is Centralia, Pennsylvania, a town that feels like it has been swallowed by the earth itself. Imagine a place where the ground seems alive, where smoke snakes through the cracks in the streets, and the air carries a faint, almost sickly scent of burning coal. Once, Centralia was a bustling mining town. Children laughed on schoolyards, neighbors waved across picket fences, and the hum of everyday life filled the streets. But all of that changed in 1962, when a coal mine fire ignited beneath the town. At first, officials thought it would be manageable, a small blaze that could be extinguished. But coal fires are relentless. This one spread underground, through veins of coal that twist like tunnels beneath the town, feeding the fire for decades. Streets buckled without warning, giant sinkholes opened up like mouths ready to swallow anything above, and homes filled with toxic gases. Families abandoned their lives, selling their houses to the government, leaving behind memories, pets, and a town slowly dying from below. Today, only a handful of residents remain, stubbornly holding on to a ghost town. Visitors describe eerie experiences, strange hissing from underground, low moans that seem almost human, and whispers carried on the wind with no source. One traveler recounted walking down a deserted street when heat from the ground suddenly surged so intensely it scorched his shoes. Moments later, he swore he heard footsteps echoing behind him, yet when he turned, the street was empty. Centralia isn't just abandoned, it's alive in a way that is terrifyingly unnatural. It's a place where curiosity is dangerous, where the earth itself seems to watch and judge you. Would you dare walk the streets of a town that could swallow you whole at any moment, with smoke curling like ghostly fingers, reaching for you from below? Point Pleasant, West Virginia, the Mothman's Watch. From a town consumed by fire, we move to Point Pleasant, West Virginia, a small riverside town whose quiet streets hide a story that chills the soul. In the 1960s, the town became infamous for the Mothman, a mysterious creature described as a massive, winged humanoid with eyes that glowed like molten red coals. Sightings always seemed to precede disaster. Locals believe the Mothman's appearances were a harbinger of the tragic Silver Bridge collapse in 1967, an event that claimed 46 lives. Witnesses describe encounters that leave them shaken for years. One man recalled walking along the river at dusk when a shadow descended from the sky. The air shifted around him as if invisible wings had brushed past, and a sense of dread sank deep into his bones. He would shake for hours, replaying the memory, unable to explain what he had seen. Today, the town has embraced its legend. A statue of the Mothman watches over the streets, and the annual Mothman Festival draws curious tourists. But venture into the surrounding forests, and the feeling changes. People report being watched, hearing rustling that can't be attributed to any animal, and glimpsing shadows flit between the trees at night. The locals warn, the forest can distort reality, turning your own mind against you. Imagine standing alone in thick fog, the river silent except for your own breathing, and then glowing red eyes peer out at you from the darkness. Your curiosity is piqued. Do you step closer, knowing that what you might encounter isn't a friendly visitor? In Point Pleasant, legends are alive, and the cost of curiosity might be more than just a scare. Roswell, New Mexico Alien Mysteries. Finally, we journey to the desert of New Mexico, to the town whose name has become synonymous with UFOs, Roswell. The desert stretches endlessly, a place where the heat shimmers during the day and the night sky feels impossibly vast. Most people associate Roswell with alien myths, but locals know the desert holds secrets far stranger than any costume or tourist attraction. In 1947, an unidentified object allegedly crashed near the town. The official story claimed it was a weather balloon, but whispers of government cover-ups persist to this day. Some believe extraterrestrial life was recovered and hidden, while others think the event was part of a vast conspiracy. Whatever the truth, the desert keeps its own quiet secrets, and those who venture too far often feel them. Visitors report strange lights hovering silently in the night sky, moving with a precision no human aircraft could achieve. Campers describe electronics suddenly flickering, temperatures plummeting, and the eerie sensation of being circled by an invisible presence. Hikers wander familiar trails, only to find themselves inexplicably lost, the landscape shifting as if the desert itself is alive. In Roswell, the line between science fiction and reality is razor thin. Every shadow in the moonlight could be just a rock, or something watching. Would you dare to spend a night alone in the desert, where the earth and sky themselves seem to move with a hidden intelligence, waiting and watching for the unwary? Salem, Massachusetts, Ghosts of the Past. Our journey continues to Salem, Massachusetts, a town whose cobblestone streets and historic homes seem frozen in time, yet are haunted by centuries-old fears. Salem is infamous for the Salem witch trials of 1692, a dark chapter in American history where 20 people lost their lives, accused of practicing witchcraft. The trials left a legacy of fear, paranoia, and injustice, a shadow that lingers even today. In modern times, Salem draws countless tourists, eager to explore its museums, witch-themed shops, and preserved historic homes. But behind the cheerful storefronts and souvenir trinkets, the town holds secrets that the guidebooks don't mention. Locals whisper about ghosts that wander the streets at night, shadowy figures moving silently through abandoned buildings, objects that shift of their own accord, and whispers echoing down dark alleyways as if carried by the ghosts of the past. One visitor shared a chilling encounter in an old churchyard. While snapping photos, he felt a cold, icy hand brush against his shoulder. When he spun around, expecting a friend or fellow tourist, there was no one there. Another tale tells of a tourist who stayed overnight in a historic inn. Upon waking, they discovered that furniture had been rearranged while they slept. No explanation, no intruder, just a house that seemed to move on its own. Salem is more than history. It's a place where fear and memory are alive, a town that refuses to let the past fade quietly. The very air seems thick with echoes of accusation, grief, and anger. Would you dare to explore its streets after dark, knowing that centuries of terror still linger in the shadows, watching your every move? Maryland, the forest that follows you. Next, we move to Thomont, Maryland, a seemingly peaceful town tucked near the Appalachian Mountains. On the surface, it's serene, a place where the mountains meet quiet roads and small-town charm. But venture into the surrounding forests, and the atmosphere changes. The trees themselves seem to watch, breathe, and close in around you. Locals speak in hushed tones about the Baldwin Witch, a mysterious presence that haunts these woods, whispering warnings to those who stray too far. Hikers and explorers have reported glowing orbs drifting between the trees, phantom figures that appear and vanish without explanation, and the unnerving feeling of being followed, even when no one is behind them. Some even speak of lost time, hours slipping by without awareness, as if the forest itself can steal moments from your life. Imagine walking alone at dusk. The long shadows stretch across the forest floor, branches sway with no wind, and an unnatural stillness presses down. Suddenly, a heavy, unseen weight settles on your chest, and a sense of being observed creeps into your mind. Even experienced hikers admit to sudden panic, nausea, or disorientation deep in these woods. Thomont's forests are a reminder that nature can conceal ancient, inexplicable secrets, far older and stranger than we can imagine. Would you dare enter, knowing that the forest itself might be alive, and that curiosity could awaken forces better left undisturbed? Sleepy Hollow, New York, the Headless Horseman. Finally, we arrive in Sleepy Hollow, New York, a town made immortal by Washington Irving's legendary tale, yet steeped in history that goes far beyond fiction. Sleepy Hollow Cemetery, centuries old, is more than a resting place. It's a portal to the past, a place where stories linger and folklore breathes alongside reality. Visitors and locals alike report shadowy figures riding through the foggy streets, mists rising in unnatural shapes, and the thunderous pounding of hooves echoing where no horse exists. Some have walked the cemetery at night, only to hear their names whispered on the wind, their hearts pounding as invisible eyes follow their every step. One visitor described wandering among the gravestones, sensing a presence behind him. He turned to confront it, only to find nothing, but the shadow followed, melting into the mist. Even in daylight, the town carries a tangible weight, an oppressive aura that reminds you the past is never truly gone. Folklore and reality collide here in ways that make the rational mind tremble. St. Augustine, Florida, Ghosts of Centuries. St. Augustine isn't just any city, it's the oldest continuously inhabited city in the United States, a place where every brick, cobblestone, and iron gate seems to whisper secrets from centuries past. But while tourists are drawn to its charming streets, historic forts, and quaint inns, many locals know a darker side of St. Augustine, one that only emerges when the sun dips below the horizon. The Castillo de San Marcos, built in the late 1600s, stands as a fortress against time, but it is said to be far from empty. Visitors have reported sudden, icy drafts brushing past them in hallways that should be warm, hearing the echo of boots on wooden floors long after the last reenactor has left. Some swear they've heard muffled conversations, voices arguing in Spanish, English, or French, carried through centuries and somehow trapped in the walls. One night, a tourist staying in a centuries-old inn awoke to see a dark, indistinct figure standing at the foot of his bed. Frozen in fear, he blinked, and the figure was gone, leaving only a cold chill and the lingering scent of damp stone. Others tell of shadows slipping along streets where no one walks, of doors that open and close without human hands, and of faint whispers in dark alleyways that seem almost personal. St. Augustine is a city where the past refuses to remain in history books. Some say the very streets themselves hold memories of tragedy, betrayal, and loss, so potent that anyone who wanders alone at night might feel them brushing against their skin. Would you dare to walk its narrow, winding lanes after dark, knowing that every step might stir a ghost from centuries ago? Hill City, South Dakota, the forest that watches. Nestled beneath the looming Black Hills, Hill City appears tranquil at first glance. But appearances are deceptive. Beyond the town, a forest stretches for miles, a dense, tangled wilderness locals call the forest that watches. It's a place of eerie quiet, where the wind through the trees sometimes sounds more like whispers, and where hikers report a sensation that they are being followed, though no one is there. Stories of strange lights in the sky and unexplained animal mutilations haunt the region. Trails twist and turn in ways that make maps unreliable, as if the forest itself is alive, shifting to confuse and disorient. Those who venture too deep often return shaken, claiming they felt invisible eyes tracking them, or hearing footsteps that weren't theirs, sometimes accompanied by faint, untraceable whispers. One hiker described pausing on a narrow path as dusk fell. He swore he saw shadows flit between trees, and that the branches themselves seemed to bend and reach for him, like living fingers. The forest's silence was suffocating, broken only by occasional snaps of twigs, and each snap echoed unnaturally, coming from places that should have been empty. Some locals believe that the hills carry the stories of everyone who has vanished there, and that their restless energy lingers, feeding on fear and curiosity alike. Hiking in Hill City after sunset is more than a test of endurance. It's a confrontation with the unknown. Every rustle, every distant scream, every flicker of movement could be real, or it could be the forest playing with your mind. Could you make it through these woods alone, knowing that some of the eyes that watch are not human? Slaughterville, Oklahoma, a town that whispers. Even the name, Slaughterville, sends a shiver down the spine. But the town's reputation is far darker than mere words. Locals speak of fires that ignite without explanation, sudden deaths that leave the community shaken, and a haunting series of noises that echo through the night. Travelers driving along its roads at twilight tell of seeing shadowy figures slip between the trees, only to vanish the moment you try to focus on them. Some say the town itself seems alive after dark, whispering secrets to anyone brave, or foolish, enough to linger. Paranormal investigators rank Slaughterville among Oklahoma's most haunted, citing reports of disembodied voices, fleeting apparitions, and sudden chills that can stop your heart for a moment. Fields that seem empty by day transform into corridors of terror at night, filled with unseen eyes and whispered warnings. The residents rarely speak of it, but everyone knows, certain corners of Slaughterville are meant to be left alone. Would you drive through it after midnight, knowing that unseen forces may be tracking your every move? Goldfield, Nevada, the ghost town that lives. Goldfield was once a bustling town at the heart of Nevada's gold rush, a place of excitement, danger, and ambition. Today, it stands abandoned, frozen in time, yet it is far from lifeless. The streets are eerily quiet, the buildings crumbling under decades of neglect, and the desert wind carries a hollow whisper. Yet visitors swear the town is still alive in its own way. Ghostly miners are said to roam the streets and old saloons, their faces worn with exhaustion and desperation. Patrons claim to feel sudden drops in temperature in abandoned hotels, hear footsteps pacing along empty corridors, or glimpse shadowy figures disappearing behind broken doors. One man who spent the night in an old hotel reported a miner's silhouette walking calmly across his room, then vanishing, leaving a chill so deep it felt like it reached into his bones. Locals warn that Goldfield is not just a town, it's a vessel of energy, a place where the past lingers so vividly it becomes almost tangible. Visiting here isn't merely about history, it's about encountering the ghosts of ambition, greed, and tragedy that never left. Could you spend a night alone among those shadows, knowing some of them never rest? America's hidden dark corners. These 10 towns remind us that small-town America is not always quaint or serene. Beneath the charm of quiet streets, historic buildings, and scenic landscapes, there often lies a layer of mystery, tragedy, and the unexplained. From underground fires that refuse to die, to forests that watch your every step, to ghost towns where miners and soldiers never truly left, these towns carry stories that locals warn outsiders never to disturb. Curiosity may tempt us. Adventure may call. But sometimes the warnings are real. Would you dare step into the shadows of these towns, or leave their secrets undisturbed? Which of these places made your skin crawl the most? Comment below and let us know. If this journey into America's darkest corners fascinated you, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell. There's a whole world of haunted streets, hidden forests, and ghostly encounters waiting to haunt your imagination.